One of the questions I hear sometimes about early retirement is this: what do you actually do all day? And honestly, I understand the question. When most people imagine retirement, they picture sleeping in every day, endless vacations, maybe sitting on a beach somewhere with a tropical drink. But that really hasn't been my experience. Retirement, at least for me, is not about escaping life. It's about building a better one. And over time, I've realized something important. I don't really have an average retirement day. What I have is an average retirement week. Each day has a different rhythm, a different purpose, and a different energy to it. That structure has helped me create a retirement life that feels peaceful, meaningful, and sustainable instead of empty or directionless. So in this video, I want to share what my retirement life actually looks like day to day and how it evolved over time and why I think retirement is not a vacation, but a completely new way of life. Hi everyone, I'm Melody, and welcome back to Retirement Perspectives. I retired early after a career in technology, and this channel is where I share my experiences about retirement, financial independence, lifestyle design, and creating a peaceful and meaningful life after work. For me, retirement did not mean that the structure of life disappears. Instead, it changes. And you have to intentionally rebuild it in a healthy and sustainable way. I've been learning that I have to be a good steward of my time and use it wisely to improve the quality of my life. Today, I'm coming to you from my creative studio. And if you stay until the end, I will share a short tour with you because this is one of my main hobby spaces, and it has become an important part of my retirement routine. Retirement is not an endless vacation. I think one of the biggest mistakes people make when they imagine retirement is imagining it as a permanent vacation. Now, don't get me wrong, rest is important, especially after a demanding career. I absolutely needed time to decompress. I needed slower mornings. I needed less stress. I needed time for my body and nervous system to calm down after decades of deadlines and pressure. And honestly, even after more than a year of retirement, I'm still finding my equilibrium. I don't feel 100% centered and peaceful yet, although I'm moving in that direction and it feels very natural to do so. I was aware as I went into retirement that endless leisure would feel empty to me. I still need purpose. I still want to feel like I'm contributing something good to the world. I've always been a very goal-oriented and motivated person. Retirement allowed me to soften some of that intensity. But I don't want to stop growing, and I don't want to stop helping people. I don't think this stage of life is only about pleasing myself all of the time. People who reach retirement age have accumulated decades of knowledge, wisdom, experience, and perspective. I think there is real value in continuing to use that in some meaningful way. That doesn't mean overworking yourself. It doesn't mean staying busy for the sake of being busy. But I do think most of us need some balance between rest, purpose, growth, and connection. What works for me is thinking in terms of a retirement week instead of a retirement day. Each day has a different focus, and that keeps life from feeling repetitive. I don't feel like I'm living in the movie Groundhog Day, where every day is the same as every other one and they blend together. Monday is usually focused on caring for my home, and now also filming and editing YouTube videos. Tuesday mornings, I volunteer at the animal shelter, and then I usually run errands afterwards. Wednesday is devoted to my older daughter's family, which includes time with my wonderful granddaughters. Thursday and Friday are my flexible days. That's when I work on hobbies like gardening and sewing, go to appointments, or just handle whatever needs attention that week. I also have a standing appointment with my younger daughter to play a video game together on Thursday evenings. It's our chance to chat while having a bit of fun together. Saturday, I volunteer with my church altar guild and spend some time with friends. And Sunday is, very intentionally, my day of rest. That rhythm gives me structure without making me feel trapped. There's enough consistency that life feels grounded, but enough flexibility so that it feels peaceful and free. My retirement life didn't appear overnight fully formed. It evolved gradually. I started volunteering before I retired because I knew I would need some continuity, along with community and purpose, after I left work. Then, after retirement, I expanded on the things I already loved doing. Gardening became a bigger part of my life. Sewing became more enjoyable because I finally had the mental energy for it. And I also introduced some entirely new things. Starting this YouTube channel has been one of my biggest surprises. That was definitely not on my bingo card. However, after I did an interview with Ari over at his Root Financial channel, it got a great response, and Ari encouraged me to start my own channel. And I thought it would be nice to share my thoughts on retirement. I didn't expect it to become such an interesting creative outlet. Now, filming, editing, and thinking about these topics has become a part of my weekly rhythm. Retirement gave me the time and space to slowly build a life that actually reflects who I am instead of a life designed around work. One of the biggest mind shifts for me has been learning to build my life around energy instead of productivity. When I was working, my days were structured almost entirely around time. Everything was about efficiency, deadlines, and pushing through. Now I pay more attention to how I actually feel. I still set my alarm in the morning. I still make lists of things I want to get done, but I put far less pressure on myself to move quickly. I allow myself slower mornings. I savor quiet time. And if I need an afternoon nap, I take one. If I'm not feeling well, I allow myself to cancel plans and rest instead of forcing myself to push through. And that has been an adjustment because for decades, my default setting was to ignore my own needs and just keep going. Now I'm trying to learn better self-care. I'm still working on that, and I'm definitely not perfect at it yet. But I want to preserve my health and preserve my energy so that I can truly enjoy these years. I am trying something new this month. I still use an electronic calendar, and I'm adding a bit more structure to my days, putting in time blocks for things I want to do each day. I'm not sure how it will work out, but that's okay. I'm trying to think of these time blocks as suggestions to myself to use my time doing the things that I say are important to me. Another thing retirement changed for me is my relationship with the seasons. When I was working, so much of life happened inside the same office environment every day, and sometimes the seasons just blurred together. Now I feel them much more deeply. In wintertime, I'm naturally become very cozy and inward focused. In spring, I gradually move back into the garden as the weather warms. In summer, I try and spend more time outdoors. I love my upgraded patio. And in autumn, I really savor the crisp air and changing colors. And yes, I really do love pumpkin spice everything. Retirement has slowed down my life enough so that I feel more connected to the natural rhythm of the year. One interesting thing I've noticed is that I no longer think about travel the same way I did when I was working. Back then, vacations were about escaping stress and recharging before going back to work. Now I don't really think in terms of vacation anymore. I think in terms of travel. I still love exploring new places. I still love beautiful scenery, museums and gardens, and fun experiences. And yes, sometimes I absolutely enjoy sitting quietly and watching a sunset on a beach, preferably with a drink with a little umbrella. But the emotional feeling, it's different now. I'm not worried about work piling up while I'm gone. I'm not rushing to maximize every second because I have so precious little time off. Travel now feels integrated into my life instead of being an escape from it. And when I come home, I can rest for a couple of days before easing back into my normal rhythm. Retirement lets you become more yourself. At the core, I'm an introvert and a homebody. Retirement has allowed me to honor that part of myself instead of constantly overriding it. I still enjoy friends, volunteering, activities, and social connection, but I also allow myself the rest and recovery time that I genuinely need. And I think this is important because retirement can look very different depending on your personality. Someone who gets energy from social interaction may build a retirement life centered around organizations, travel groups, clubs, and community events. For me, retirement feels best when there's a balance between meaningful connection and peaceful solitude. The beauty of retirement is that for the first time in a very long time, your life can finally be designed around your actual nature instead of around your employer's needs. So what do I actually do all day in retirement? Honestly, I live. I care for my home. I volunteer. I spend time with family. I create things. I learn. I rest. I garden. I travel. I try to become healthier and more peaceful than I was during my working years. It's quieter than my old life, and in many ways, it feels richer. Retirement hasn't removed structure from my life. It has allowed me to rebuild structure in a way that feels more human, more intentional, more aligned with who I really am. And I think that may be one of the greatest gifts of retirement. And now, as promised, here's a little tour of my creative studio. This room used to be my home office, and over the last year, I've been updating it as a place for my hobbies, and it's still a work in progress. I found that I enjoy hobbies that exist at the intersection between technology and creativity, and my studio reflects that. Starting next to the door is my sewing machine. I call her Guinevere. She is a computerized sewing and embroidery machine. Next to her is my 3D printer, and his name is Merlin, and I've been having fun learning how he works. And this is my serger, and her name is Elaine. And it's a specialized type of sewing machine. If you are familiar with it, it helps give a more professional finish to items. Next is my Cricut paper die cut machine. Its name is Excalibur. And then is my paper printer that I call Print-A-Lot. And then this is my cutting table that I use for cutting out my sewing projects. And then we are back to my desk. And I call my computer King Arthur. Are you seeing the theme here? I do have 2 monitors. That is a relic from my professional career, and honestly, I love having the storage space. And we're back to the door. If this resonated with you, let me know in the comments what type of retirement life you want to build for yourself. And if you enjoyed this conversation, I'd love to have you subscribe and join me for future videos here on Retirement Perspectives. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.